and had them all killed. That was another 10, 12 million deaths. Now, in the village I was first in China in 1979, there was a little hill outside the village where there was a mass grave where those landlords...
Stephen, you got to finish this story. It was only 5 minutes. I don't want to twist your arm, but come back, finish the story. We'll let you go. I've got to hear this. Then we'll play the special report. Wow.
You've heard of the U.S. government wasting money on studies like mountain lions on treadmills, shrimp on treadmills, and even the effects of Swedish massage on rabbits. This latest example of waste comes out of the Illinois EPA. In fact, I tweeted, state government needs 9-step anal retentive plan to compost pumpkins? That's right, it's all in the article. Illinois EPA, pumpkins must be managed to protect human health by Kit Daniels. And in it, you can find a link to the actual 9-step process for local cities to collect pumpkins for composting. Here's step 2. Pumpkins must not be accepted from other persons, including but not limited to owners and operators of rented or leased residences where pumpkins were used for decorative purposes, commercial haulers, and other commercial, industrial, agricultural, and government operations or entities. How are you going to figure that out? Step 9. The transfer and ultimate disposition of pumpkins received at the collection event must comply with the agency's approval, including all conditions contained in the approval. Do you have your TPS report cover sheet?
Did you see the memo about this?
If you don't, then you cannot compost pumpkins in Illinois.
Okay.
Rob Dew reporting for Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News.
Secret 12, InfoWars Life's vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable, coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. InfoWars Life, Secret 12. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones.
He heads up the Population Research Institute, Stephen W. Mosier. China has backed off its one-child policy, gone to a two-child policy because it's hurting their economy. You have less people to take care of the old. He's going to go in just a few minutes. We've got Wayne Manson's report coming up. But we talked about the Chinese government says Mao killed 84 million people. But then in the Civil War, he killed another 30, 40, 50 million. Then you add another 10 million being all the peasant leaders, anybody middle class, and you were describing seeing that in a village. Finish your story, please, sir.
Well, in the village that I studied in 1979, I was taken out by elderly villagers to a little hill outside the village where there was a mass grave. And here it was where the landlords, those people who owned a few acres of land, these weren't large landlords, and the rich peasants, those were people who just hired labor part of the year for harvesting or planting. They were taken out and struggled and executed. That was also the place where 200 victims of the famine that was caused by the great proletarian people's communes were buried. There were 200 people in my village of about 3,000 people who died of starvation during that period. Overall numbers in China during the Great Famine of 1960 to 1962 were about 42.5 million people who starved to death. Chairman Mao said when there's not enough to eat, people starve to death. It's better to let half the people die so the other half can eat their fill. That's a direct quote from the great Chinese leader, Chairman Mao.
How
He also
communist,
said,
how sweet, how moral authority these people are. It's sickening.
well, they're totally immoral, of course. It's all about power. This is the guy who said political power comes from the barrel of a gun, and that a revolution is not a dinner party. He also said 1/10 of the peasants of China, or about 50 million people, would have to be destroyed in order to set up a people's communes. And, of course, he pretty much reached that number. So this is a mass murder. And the successors to Mao are people who are cut from the same cloth. The current president of China, Xi Jinping, is very much an admirer of Chairman Mao, has modeled his political career on Chairman Mao, and is not at all bashful about eliminating people who stand in his way.
Now they just do it in the womb or after they're born, and it's called a right. Pop.org, Stephen Mosier, thank you. Look forward to having you back on. Your work could not be more important. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Truly amazing. And, folks, you should take this resource, pop.org, and our film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. Get it out to everybody you know. This is a real fight for humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this special report shot a week and a half ago. We're premiering it here in the field in Arizona with commentary with investigative journalist Wayne Madsen.
Relatives and friends stunned by a violent crime in Calaveras County. Investigators say a father killed his 2 teenage sons before turning the gun on himself. Investigators also
believe
say
their own father, Philip Marshall, shot them, the family dog, then turned the gun on himself.
In 2012, the late Phil Marshall, he wrote 3 books, 2 about his doubts about the official 9/11 report, and 1 about a docudrama, actually, about his time as a pilot for the CIA in the 1980s.
In his books, the veteran aviation pilot accused the administration of former U.S. President George W. Bush of orchestrating the 9/11 attacks. Marshall said,
"The true reason the attack was successful is because of an inside military stand-down and a coordinated training operation that prepared the hijackers to fly heavy commercial airliners. We have dozens of FBI documents to prove that this flight training was conducted in California, Florida, and Arizona in the 18 months leading up to the attack." Think about this. The official version about some ghost in some cave on the other side of the world defeating our entire military establishment on U.S. soil is absolutely preposterous.
Phil Marshall, qualified Boeing 757 pilot and a Boeing 767 pilot. The 2 aircraft, as we know, are said to have allegedly been involved in the 9/11 attacks. Phil Marshall came here to Arizona in 2012, specifically to investigate leads that he picked up about the role that a former and probably current Central Intelligence Agency facility called the Pinal Air Park in Marana, Arizona, between Phoenix and Tucson. Phil Marshall came here to investigate leads, as I mentioned, that would have questioned the official 9/11 story. And it was these leads, this information that Phil Marshall obtained at the Pinal Air Park that ultimately led to his death, the deaths of his teenage son, his teenage daughter, and even the family dog. The Calaveras County Sheriff concluded that Phil Marshall, with a mix of alcohol and drugs, went into a rage, killed his 2 children, killed the family dog, and then turned the gun on himself. After our investigation here at the Pinal Air Park, where we spent time, it's quite clear that Pinal does hold the key to the 9/11 mystery.
There have been attacks in 2 American cities, New York and in Washington. The trade centers here in New York have been hit by airplanes. In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord.
At Pinal, which has seen a different ownership over the years. At one time, was a facility where several CIA airlines were based. These airline companies were organized by George Dooley, the CIA man who created Civil Air Transport, Southern Air Transport, Air America from the movie by the same name, starring Mel Gibson. Also Intermountain Aviation. Phil Marshall, of course, had some dealings working with Intermountain Aviation out of Mean, Arkansas. So then it became Evergreen International, and now it's known as the Marana Aerospace Solutions. But before it became Marana Aerospace Solutions, Evergreen, which was a CIA proprietary company, sold its assets to a company called Relativity, LLC, out of Virginia, specifically out of Arlington, Virginia, located in the Roslyn area where a lot of CIA operations are located, front companies. And Relativity, turns out it's owned by the Carlyle Group. Yes, that Carlyle Group, the Carlyle Group that was partly owned by the Bin Laden family and the Bush family, that figured so prominently over the years. And not only everything, including the support for Saddam Hussein in the 1980s and his war with Iran, but also now, as we've discovered, Carlyle played a significant role in the 9/11 mystery. Beyond being the boneyard for these aircraft, that the Marana facility also, what they do there is they bring planes in to do quick maintenance. They take planes in there to do maintenance and then putting them in storage. And then from storage, these aircraft can be put back into active service. But also what we learned is that at the Pinal Air Park, they have the capability to fabricate new parts and take parts from different aircraft and cobble them together to create what might be called a drop plane. We all know that a drop gun is pieces of various weapons put together to create a new weapon, which there's no obvious no track record for. The serial numbers are shaved off. Well, the same thing can be done to an aircraft. It's quite clear that the capability at the Pinal Air Park included taking parts of planes and creating new aircraft, which of course could have drone technology then put in place.
Here's the Air Force General talking to Congress on C-SPAN about remote controlling of aircraft. Because, see, if they can remote control them, they can nerve gas everybody and remote control them into the buildings. And all it takes is a very small group of people that have the codes to do it. And then the rest of the military thinks, hey, Muhammad Atta and all these guys got on the planes. They're taking part in the drill, which we know was going on. See how that works? Let's go to the clip.
Missiles with inert warheads and other sophisticated gear. What have you guys done to equip our Air Guard and other NORAD potentially assigned units with the training, with the rules of engagement and the hardware that gives them an option other than what we have now, which is just to destroy the aircraft and all its passengers?
I'm aware of at least one program which is classified, so we can either talk about it offline or provide you the classified paper on it. There may be others to do exactly that.
Okay, and then people say, oh, no, they're talking about missiles there. No, they're not. Here's Bush in PBS. Bush announces new security measures to enable air traffic controllers to take over a distressed aircraft and land it by remote control, okay? That's what the program is. That's what's going on.
What Phil Marshall, who was qualified on both aircraft, obviously discovered in his own investigation was that there was a distinct possibility that some of the aircraft used, or all of the aircraft used on 9/11, were hybrid aircraft created for the purpose of being droned and being put into the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and of course the fourth plane that missed its ultimate target and went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It's obviously Occam's razor. The easiest explanation in this case is the correct explanation. For Infowars.com, I'm Wayne Matson.
And again, it's very powerful video because really nobody's ever gotten into that base until now. They've shot a few movies there, but before it was totally closed, you had to get special authorization. There's a little no man's land period where it was open for the next few months. By permission, you can get in now. And we're going to actually put out some of the raw video of the aircraft boneyard because it's interesting just in a lonely, kind of spooky way in and of itself. When we come back, gun sales set record for 6 months in a row. And the ghost war in Syria, Russian Spetsnaz up against U.S. Special Forces.